There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being unseen, but it comes from being seen only in ways that are useful to others. And Shane has built a life inside that kind of loneliness. Even though Shane is presumed to be the king of hockey, the best player in the league, his internal reality is defined by something far more fragile, and that is a quiet, pervasive sense of wrongness. Similarly, in Greek mythology, Patroclus suffers the same kind of sentiment towards himself. He is born as a prince to King Menoetes, who constantly sees him as a disappointment. Even though he is the son of a king, he does not feel legitimate in that identity. At the age of 10, Patroclus accidentally kills a nobleman's son during a game of dice. In order to save Patroclus' life, he is sent to King Peleus' court, where he is chosen to be the companion of the king's son, Achilles. This absolute abandonment reinforces to Patroclus that he is disposable, infuses in him a severe inferiority complex and a desperate need for acceptance. Shane's good boy persona mirrors this same structure of borrowed legitimacy. So Shane constructs himself through external expectations, those of masculinity, performance, and most powerfully, his mother. This creates what Jung calls a mother complex. A mother complex forms when the child's psyche is dominated by the mother. This means that his ego never fully separates from the maternal field. Because Yuna is his manager, she becomes this external moral authority. Because Shane is bound by an internalized authority, his mother's voice, her voice becomes his own. And we can see this most evidently in episode 4. During lunch with his parents, when Yuna tells him, "That's not who you are," that's a definition, that's a command. It reinforces the idea that identity is not discovered, it's assigned. And so Shane adapts. What does he do in the next scene? He finds a girlfriend to perform masculinity. For a child who found freedom and joy in doing what he loved, I think hockey stopped being fun when it became a job. To witness another person's joyful expression, to recognize it without attempting to possess or control it, is one of the most powerful gifts that you can give a child. And I think this is the deeper psychological difference between Ilya and Shane, in that Irina's devotion was not expressed through possession or control. It was only through the radical act of simple witnessing of her son's greatness that catapulted Ilya to greatness. Shane mirrors the same kind of inner magnitude in the fact that he has never ever tried to dominate or be the best in hockey. He just simply always was the best. This sacred space that he's built for himself within hockey has kind of been desecrated by that pervasive sense of loss of recognition from his mother. It's no more about the simple witnessing of his joyful expression. It's about the business now. Objectively, Yuna is an amazing mother. I mean, in adult world, in reality, what she's doing is beautiful. It looks like an act of recognition. She's putting her money, her time, her energy towards, helping her son navigate this world of hockey and making sure that he is not abused, especially business-wise, career-wise. But from a child's point of view, that's not recognition. And so what emerges is this good boy persona, this maladaptive structure that allows him to function, succeed, and not only be admired by the external world, but also by the people who he loves the most. This persona comes at a cost because it requires him to repress his inner reality, his desires, his instincts, and most importantly, his intuition. In episode 4, we see the consequences of his masking. His rejection of his inner world manifests in his outer world. Throughout episode 4, Shane expresses a simple desire to have ginger ale, and yet his preference is consistently denied. In the commercial that we see in the montage, his image overrides his individuality. Rather than representing the brand that he truly enjoys, which is ginger ale, he's representing a orange drink company. At the bar, his masculinity overrides his desires. He orders beer over ginger ale because the bartender makes an allusion to that choice. Even at lunch with his parents, the environment overrides his desires. The restaurant runs out of ginger ale. At every single level of his reality, Shane's inner voice is dismissed. And yet it is only Ilya who remembers. The ginger ale represents Shane's truth, Shane's inner voice, Shane's inner authority. That moment carries a lot of weight for Shane because it's not just recognition, it's accuracy. It's the act of witnessing someone not as they perform, but as they truly are. This is why Shane and Ilya's relationship is so mythically charged. It's because Ilya's recognition of Shane mirrors Achilles' recognition of Patroclus. In the Song of Achilles, Patroclus arrives in Peleus' court already wounded by expulsion, but it's the fact that he's been chosen by this demigod, this goddess-born royalty, chooses him to be his companion amongst all others. This, in fact, heals the exile wound. To the external world, the fact that Achilles would choose an exile as companion is seen as a stain on his legacy. And when he's asked by Peleus, why do you choose an exile of all the choices that you could have as companion? Achilles is like, why would I care about the opinions of sheep? I'm a god. Similarly, Ilya gains nothing from being with Shane. In fact, being with Shane could mean life or death if Ilya were ever to go back to Russia. And the fact that he basically says, fuck Russia, I choose you, Shane, that is powerful.